We all know SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, the bright colors, the silly jokes. But what if there's something darker lurking just beneath the surface of this cartoon? Today, we're going to explore some of the most compelling and honestly kind of unsettling hidden meanings you might have missed. What if I told you that this show isn't just about a sponge who lives in a pineapple? What if it's actually a commentary on something much, much deeper? A really complex story about hidden meanings, cleverly disguised for years. A story about psychological disorders, where every single character you know and love is a stand-in for something else. And what if the entire town of Bikini Bottom itself is the direct result of very real and very dangerous nuclear experiments? It sounds wild, I know, but once you start looking at the clues, it all starts to make a chilling kind of sense. So let's open our first case file. Some fans and theorists have put forward this fascinating idea that Bikini Bottom is less of a cartoon town and more of a psychological study. The whole theory suggests that each main character was intentionally designed to represent a specific psychological condition. And honestly, once you start looking for it, it becomes almost impossible to unsee. Let's start with SpongeBob himself. Think about it. He's got this constant hyperactivity, his impulsiveness, those wild emotional swings. Some theorists argue this behavior aligns perfectly with the classic symptoms of ADD. And then you have his best friend, Patrick Star. He often seems completely lost, right? He struggles with the most basic concepts and seems to have a very, very short memory. Theorists see this as a pretty clear representation of low cognitive functioning. And of course, Squidward. He's perpetually unhappy, totally unmotivated, and annoyed by literally everything. It's really no surprise that so many viewers believe his character is a pretty powerful representation of chronic depression. When you look at the whole cast, a pattern really seems to emerge. Mr. Krabs and his obsession with money, well, that could be seen as a form of greed-based OCD. And Sandy Cheeks, with her intense focus on her own scientific achievements, that could point to narcissistic or obsessive patterns. All of a sudden, you're looking at a full cast of really complex psychological profiles. But the theories, believe it or not, get even darker, because the very existence of Bikini Bottom might not be fictional at all. It could be tied to a pretty chilling chapter of our own modern history. This is Bikini Atoll. It's a real place in the Pacific Ocean, and it has a very dark past. You see, this is where, for over a decade, the United States military tested some of its most powerful atomic weapons. Between the 1940s and 50s, dozens, and I mean dozens of nuclear bombs were detonated here, many of them deep underwater. The result was massive, catastrophic environmental damage and widespread radiation that contaminated the entire area for decades. Now, here's where the theory connects everything. What if the cartoon is secretly suggesting that this radiation didn't just destroy life, but changed it? That it actually mutated the local sea creatures, giving them the ability to talk, to build cities, to run businesses, to create their own society. And right here, we find the core of the entire theory, the name itself. Bikini Atoll, the real-world site of nuclear testing, and Bikini Bottom, the fictional home of these strangely intelligent sea creatures. Is that really just a coincidence, or is it a deliberate, hidden reference to a dark historical truth? All right, let's move on to our third theory. This one suggests the show isn't about psychology or history at all, but something more philosophical. It frames the entire cast as a symbolic story about humanity's greatest flaws. According to this interpretation, each character perfectly embodies one of the 7 deadly sins. Mr. Krabs, he's greed. Patrick is sloth. Squidward, with all his constant anger, is wrath. Sandy's obsession with being the best represents pride. Plankton is envy. Gary the snail is gluttony. And SpongeBob himself, he represents lust. Not in the usual sense, but an overwhelming lust for life, for friendship, and for attention. Okay, with all these heavy theories, you might be wondering, could any of this have actually been intentional? Well, there's a fascinating twist when you look at the man who created it all. You see, Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, didn't start his career in a cartoon studio. His original passion was something very, very different, and it might just be the key to understanding the show's potential depth. That's right. He was a marine biology teacher. He had this deep scientific understanding of ocean ecosystems and all the creatures that live in them. He knew exactly what was real and what was pure fantasy. And that background has led a lot of people to believe that he intentionally used his knowledge to craft a world that was always more than just a cartoon, that he used sea creatures as metaphors to explore complex human behaviors in society, making the show layered and intelligent on purpose. So, after exploring all of this, we're left with a choice. Is SpongeBob just a fun, innocent show about a talking sponge who loves his job and his friends? Or is there something much more complex hiding just beneath that sandy surface of Bikini Bottom? A story of psychology, of history, and of human nature itself. What do you believe? The answer? Well, that's ultimately up to you.